Where down we go. There she is.
Hey,
Whip, whip, boo, 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 whip, boo, dee, boo, 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 whip, boo,
ooh,
dee, wee, woo.
so good.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
I like you.
What about me? What did you do?
I like you.
False. Lies. She speaks only falsehood.
I
Trust
like
nothing this woman says. She is vintage.
Yes. Well done.
Yeah, I'm pulling up my show notes. Also, I had a moment. We're about to talk about marketing. Well, not just marketing, but we are including marketing in this conversation today.
Hmm.
But it did occur to me that like I'm not doing great marketing right now. You know, our 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 podcast is mostly just me singing and bullshitting, and then like it doesn't look like a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
And
we've been talking all this year and last quarter as well about like the fact that we're doing a limited amount of like intentional marketing effort and that we want to be doing more like actual telling of people.
I don't understand what you just said.
Like we haven't been advertising like very broadly.
Yes. What's the
So
other half?
I feel like that's all part of what we're trying to accomplish this year with marketing is getting more people aware that we exist.
Well, that's not what I was talking about at all. I was mostly just talking about like, if I'm giving advice about marketing, but like our marketing isn't very polished, then why would anybody listen to me?
Interesting. Okay, can you explain the difference to me between marketing and advertising? Because I
Okay,
think maybe I think they're
so
the
okay,
same thing.
okay, so the academic version of marketing is product price promotion and distribution, right? So all of that falls under the umbrella of marketing. But most people, when they hear marketing, they think promotion. And when you hear promotion, you think advertising. So it's mostly just a structural disconnect. Marketing itself is just the function of getting products to the people that you're selling to.
Okay, I did not know that.
That's why now it's become like fashionable to say GTM, go to market, which I hate. I hate that term. I hate that there's like an entire department now at this company that I work for called it's GTM department. And like the tech people, a lot of the tech words, tech acronyms, techisms are so stupid. We do
Unnecessary.
sit reps that are called flashes, right? And I'm like, that is not intuitive. It's
No,
not
it's not.
intuitive at all,
No.
right? A sit rep, you might say, oh, well, that's not intuitive either if you're not military, but it's short for situation report. Oh, it's a report about the situation. This is also like, again, I'm a football player, so like we do meathead terms, right? You ready for this? You have your running backs. Well, why are they called running backs? It's because they run the ball and they start in the backfield. Oh, okay. You've got a lineman. Well, why is he called a lineman? Because he's on the offensive or defensive front line. You have a wide receiver. Why is he called a wide receiver? Because he's wide on the field and he receives the ball.
It's all coming together. It's all
Wow.
making sense now.
Okay, this is me being old for a minute. Okay. So my oldiness is that kids are now just making fucking noises up that don't actually correspond with things. Right?
Right?
You've heard my gripe about the word Riz because it's like, ooh, you're
Not
just
a
buzzing
word.
face like and it doesn't reference anything.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got Riz. Where did that come from? Right? Even our words, like, oh, that's cool. Well, why is it cool? Right? It's cool because it's like, ooh, you get that like that fresh
Little shiver. Yeah.
right? Cool is a word. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh, it burns. Ooh, it's got, I like it. It's hot. It's fire. Ooh, right? Those are words. And they correspond to actual sensations. So they have visceral um, connections when you say them.
Hmm.
So Riz, it's one, not a word, and it doesn't even like, it doesn't create an immediate mental association unless you already know what the word means.
Totally.
So Riz is like a jargon word, but it's a jargon word for a generation. So this
Yep.
generation now knows a jargon word that doesn't have any definition in the dictionary other than itself.
Yep.
It's like somebody just made a noise and then everybody else thought that that noise was cool and then started repeating that noise. And so now you got a bunch of people that are just making a noise that doesn't fucking mean anything.
Hmm. Yeah. Super frustrating.
You could argue that that's how all words came into being. However, a word has to have a definition, a term and definition, right? And so Riz, the definition is unclear and it is not, mm, it is only understood to an in group of people who already know what that word means because either they ask somebody or somebody, or like, actually, yeah, that's the only way you can come to know it is
Yeah.
if you didn't know it before, somebody has to tell you, and now you're subject to whatever the fuck that person told you it was.
Hmm.
Yo, that's so dumb.
Super dumb.
It's super dumb. And so I generally have a problem with a lot of these like Gen Z and younger words because they're fucking up my beautiful English language.
Right.
What was that Monuments Man?
Yeah.
He's like, please, we will speak in English. You are ruining my beautiful French language with
Right.
your oriental tongue. You know?
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Um, anyway, all of this to say, part of marketing is branding and design, right? So you want to have, a polished product ideally, or you want to have like a product that isn't an eyesore because in a lot of cases I'm saying what need to haves versus nice to haves. And so when you think about feature prioritization, or when you're building a product, you want to look at what are the things that are the musts, and if it's not there, people won't buy or they will be actively like opposed to your product. They will like actively
Mhm.
reject it if those things aren't present. So some
Like if you
things
tried
you
to buy a car and they didn't have wheels.
right, right. It's kind of defeats the purpose of the car,
Okay.
right? And so that's one of those things is that it's like, okay, if it's in there, also certain things, if you put them in, then it's automatically a no. So this is like when you have a writer who does a certain trope too much or like doesn't include certain conventions to the genre, those are like must-haves, right? So it's like it's not a murder mystery if nobody gets murdered,
Yep.
right?
Accurate.
Yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
like it can be a mystery just fine, but if nobody died, it's not a murder mystery.
Hmm.
So that's where I'm at, and a lot of what I'm seeing in the channel space is that everybody's turning their. I mean, YouTube is television, right? It's like just like 5 minute, one like 30-second clippy. It's clippy television,
Hmm.
right? And it's television that you can consume on your phone. It's television that you can consume on your computer. It's television that you don't need to flip channels because there's an infinite amount of, individuals making channels. So, um, that idea of turning it into a television show, man, I ain't got time for all that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Like if I like want to make this into a TV show at some point, right? And again, most people don't think of podcasts as TV shows, but in so many ways the production is the same. You think Joe Rogan doesn't basically run a TV show? He just has a 3 hour TV show,
Yeah.
but it's still a fucking TV show. He's got like the guy in the chair, he's got the interview, the guest, like the way he does all of his things. He's got like the video set up, the head like the mic set up. So he's got like everything that you basically would have to do an interview style TV show. And a lot of all these like podcast people do that, right? So, do I want to make a TV show or do I want to just have a nice conversation with my wife? Honestly, I'm leaning the latter.
Hmm.
Um, at some point, do I shit, man, like I don't even I don't even want to go there. Like I don't even want to go there because I'm not even like that. I'm not even that excited about podcasting so much as I like, you know, I want people to have good information more
Yeah,
than I want to make a podcast.
totally. And we enjoy the podcast format because we can like do this together and make this episode and have like a record of this conversation that we had that we want to share with people. But it's not just because, oh, we want a podcast, it's that we want to share something impactful.
Right. And so when I think about like a show that I want to put on, I want to make a book. Like I want people to buy my book and I want people to like my book. I want
Yeah.
to make an actual like anime from,
Yeah.
the stories that I've put together. That's a show. I would be more than happy to make that a show. If somebody wants to turn one of my books into a movie, then great, make a movie out of my book. Like that's the show. I feel weird about being the show,
Hmm.
if that makes any sense. Which leads us into back to that conversation about marketing and like me, and it's like, oh, the brand of me. Yeah, there's a like personal branding, and if you're making if you're making content, which we're making content, there's like a brand element, and um, most of my branding is just sort of, we'll try some shit, and we'll get into a little bit of discussion, I think, today about um, experimentation. But again, I got a job, man. Like, I got shit to do.
On
You
a
know,
schedule.
like I'm on a schedule, and so
Yeah.
this is mostly casual, but I always hear in the publishing advice space, like you got to treat it like a business. You got to treat it like a bit. I'm like, you mean treat it like a business? It is a business. You got to sell a product, but just because you're selling a product doesn't mean that you can't like have fun. It doesn't mean that you can't keep it casual.
Hmm.
And you know, if you saw the work I put in for this shit, like everything I do is like a business. So like it's not I don't write books, I engineer books.
Hmm.
Um so what we were thinking about, and I was we were having a talk about brand archetypes because we were trying to identify um what brand to produce for Household Mojo. And we looked at the 12 brand archetypes, and there's one that I like more than the others. And um, I I found so many different alternatives to it, um, because they don't all categorize the archetypes in the same way.
Hmm.
Um, and so the four sort of like basics um, are um, like what your core desire is, and then how you sort of manifest that core desire in your identity. Um, and I'm trying to pull this up as we speak, because if I had been smarter and prepared um, I would have had this. So I've seen, okay, so one, it's leave a legacy, explore like spirituality or adventure, provide structure, pursue connection. So those are like the four core desires. This all kind of stems from Carl Jung, and his like archetypes that you see across everything from story to myth to culture. And the 12 archetypes tend to be similar or the same, but they land in different categories. So, like one, legacy is like liberation, power, and mastery. And then another one, the legacy is enjoyment, intimacy, and mastery, right? And then for connection, one of them says connection is intimacy, pleasure, and belonging. And the other one says that connection is power, liberation, and freedom. And I'm like, you know, what is that? Like, why are they showing up in different places? Did somebody just like screw this up on the internet? Did it shift at some point?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So what I'm going to identify as our archetypes are from one model that I particularly like for a couple of reasons. So, again, leave a legacy, adventure, or explore spirituality, provide structure, pursue connection. So, on the leave a legacy, we've got liberation, power, and mastery are the sort of things that you want. So, I tend to think of things as like means versus ends. So, I want to leave a legacy. Or I want liberation so I can leave a legacy. I want power so I can leave a legacy. I want mastery so I can leave a legacy, right? Or I want freedom so I can explore my spirituality. I want understanding so I can explore my spirituality. I want safety so I can explore my spirituality.
Sure.
The provide structure is innovation, control, and service. I want I want to innovate so I can provide structure. I want control so I can provide structure. I want to serve so I can provide structure. That's an interesting one too. Pursue connection. I want belonging. I want enjoyment. I want intimacy to pursue connection. So those are all of the 12 like motivations. And I'm calling them like motivations and emphasis. And they each correspond to a character type. So if your desire is for, and I'm just going around the wheel here. If your desire is for liberation, then you're the outlaw.
Oh.
And so we see brands like, Virgin or Harley Davidson or those kind of like bad boy brands, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Magician is the power one, hero is for mastery, lover is the intimacy, jester, everyman, caregiver, ruler, creator, innocent, sage, and explorer. So those are our 12 like brand archetypes. And so, when I'm thinking about media and I'm thinking about what people consume on a daily basis. And by the way, a large part of this, overlapped because I was talking to my mom. And, funny thing, you and I have both been kind of talking to our moms lately. But I
mhm.
was talking to my mom on the phone and she was just like, well, Trump is doing this thing. And I was just like, okay, and well, he's a terrible person and he's blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking I was having a similar conversation with a friend of mine, who I love this man, and we have like, deep philosophical conversations. And I would say that even though we are not probably politically aligned, that's not a reason to not be friends with somebody. So, by the way, if that just turned off like the three people listening, but like it's not a good enough reason to not get along, because what you cut yourself off from is the ability to expand your own perspective, right? The ability to see if there is something that you believe that is not aligned with empirical reality, or if there is something that you believe that is less aligned that could be refined.
Mhm.
So I think about that and like, you know, we have we have great talks, man. It's like you have better talks with people who are cooperative that disagree with you than with people that agree with you and are combative.
Totally.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And so you know, again, that's my best friend. And like we are always bickering constantly. I feel
Hmm.
like we argue all the time, and I love it. Like,
And it's so good natured. It's so good natured.
yeah,
Like, it's so
yeah,
funny because you are bickering all the time. And there's it like, it escalates fairly quickly because he'll have a really strong opinion and you'll be like, no. But then it always leads to a thoughtful discourse.
yeah, yeah.
It's very
And
good.
so, the competitiveness is in good fun. Like, you know, and I heard about jujitsu is like lion cubs playing chess. And I love that metaphor. And I
That's
feel
great.
like that's the two of us is that we're always just like play fighting. Like little kids with sticks and we're always just beating the shit out of each other with sticks.
Yep.
Modern kids are like, why would you hit someone? It's so violent. It's so terrible. Oh. And that's why we can't have nice things anymore. We can't have cool violence. We can't have serious violence because we've infantilized everybody in the fucking system. Anyway, we were having the conversation and my mom was talking Trump this, Trump that, you know, oh, he's a bad person. And I said, well, mom, have you met the man? And she's like, no, but I know he's terrible. And I was like, okay, okay. Let's hold our suspension of disbelief. And by the way, this isn't like a pro-Trump situation. He's just an inflammatory character. And then I'm trying to use this inflammatory character to paint a picture.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, mom, so let's take a look at his persona because that's what you're seeing, right? The
Yeah.
persona, and I broke personality into two parts, right? So there's the public and then there's the private. There's the external and the internal. So the external part of your personality is your persona. The internal part of your personality is your identity. So on your identity, this is how I see myself, and the persona is how others perceive me. So if you're, and we talked about this before, but if you're incongruent or misaligned with your identity and your persona, then you will appear either deceitful, mysterious, or inauthentic, right?
Yes.
But if you are aligned, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It means that you will appear as authentic or you will appear as weird. Right? And that's entirely subjective based on who is perceiving you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, okay, let's just look at the observations, right? Because this is what I do all day is I analyze the shit out of things and we go observation, findings, insights, recommendations, right?
Hmm.
So, you know, and that's the I. I do the I in BIDAR, belief, interpretation, decision, action, result. So I spend most of my job doing the interpretation of data so that I can deliver insights for better decision making. And so what I'm doing is I'm always looking for frameworks to help me interpret what I'm seeing. So the framework that we're using to interpret the political messaging is through the lens of brand archetypes, and it actually has a very clear distinction. So, looking at the Republicans and Trump, he is an outlaw slash ruler brand. So, the outlaw brand is seeking liberation and the desire to leave a legacy. And so, well, who is that going to associate with? Well, it's probably going to associate with um, young men, right, who feel constrained by the system, right? Or they want freedom, they want to cowboy it up, they want to be able to say what they want to say. The Democrats were in office for the last major term, and so you've got these young Republican males who are looking to get out from the sort of political yoke of the other party. right? Maybe a lot of people felt censored, well, we can't say this, or if you're like a young white guy, it's considered not cool. What was it then they were saying in like the film industry, male and pale is stale? Like, oh
Oh
my
my God.
God. Like what a shitty way to discriminate against somebody. But like that's again, it's just another form of discrimination. And so there are a lot of white dudes who are feeling that. And so here Trump is like, okay, cool, let me find a brand identity that I can lean into that will correspond with what this constituency group is feeling. And
Hmm.
then now we've got it. So the other one, the ruler, right, is okay for the other part of, let's say, the other major faction in the Republican Party, which is I want structure. I want to be in control, right? So the ruler archetype is for your more Christian base coming out of the Republicans. And so you've got people who want to feel like they're not oppressed, right, by the system,
Hmm.
and not being forced into silence or censored. And then you've got this other population. Do you have laundry running?
I do.
Is the dryer on?
No,
Is anything burning?
not that I'm aware
Hold on. Say stuff for the audience.
of. We are very house fire averse because we had one last year, late in the summer. So if we catch a whiff of anything suspicious, we kind of go into high alert and need to investigate. This is my little mid-podcast PSA is make sure your fire extinguishers are new and unexpired.
Yeah. Okay. We're good. I was just, you know, I got a whiff,
Yep.
and again, what I keep thinking is, I think it's the neighbor who's smoking, and then
Mhm.
I like it like wafts up, and I frequently keep the window open just because I'm in the bedroom and I don't want like my man must to just like stink up the place. Anyway,
Yep.
um, so we were saying, okay, so you've got these two brand archetypes that are trying to be merged together, and that's creating the brand that will be most identifiable to the constituent groups that the Republican Party is targeting, right?
Mhm.
So you can basically see what are their demographics. So the demographic that they want is they want males, right? And then they want young males and then fathers, So this is the whole Trump, providing, money for people having babies, right? That's leave a legacy. And it's like, well, we're going to, fix everything up and give you more control over your life. And that's to provide structure and, this and that. So those are the two major constituencies that, based on the brand archetype, it would seem that they're aiming for. And when you look at the people who are, more voting Republican, then that's who you find. This brings us to the opposition, which is the Democrats, and their focus is on the everyman brand, the everyman archetype, and the innocent, because the innocent wants safety, right? And they want to explore spirituality, and the everyman is seeking belonging and connection. So, these two are the exact opposite. So if you look at the drawing, you've got legacy, spirituality, structure, connection, and the Republicans are doing legacy and structure, and the Democrats are doing connection and spirituality. So well,
Huh.
what do you have now, right? Well, who's the everyman? Well, people who want connection and belonging. Okay. And then, who's the innocent? People who want safety to explore themselves, right? And so both of these things are now what you start seeing. And, I was miffed originally with like, it was the last Biden term where they had the DNC, and you had all of these people, right? Like you had what Yang and Tulsi Gabbard, and this I think Clinton was still in the running for a minute. Mayor Pete, yeah,
Yep.
and so you had like all of these people, and I was like, yo, for a group who's always talking about old rich white men, why did you go with the old rich white man? And
Right?
I was like, couldn't figure it out. And you want to know what it was? It was
You just
that
explained it. Yeah, explain it.
is that he was the everyman, right? Or
Yeah.
he was, it's like he's the nice old man,
He was
down the
safe,
street,
the safe bet. Like, oh, we'll just get good old Uncle Joe
right?
to
So
come
Uncle
in.
Joe and Mamala, right? SNL, I think, coined the term Mamala,
Oh
you
my God.
know, and they wanted to make you feel like comfortable, like, oh, these nice old folk and a lady, and then they could play up the kind of belongingness, and what was Harris's entire platform. It was basically like, oh, I'm just one of you, I'm like everybody, right? She
Yeah.
really leaned into the everyman brand, to try and connect with people. And what was challenging and where I think it fell flat was, if you look a little bit closer, she's not really an everyman, like, at all. And then it was like, well, why is she saying prescribed things? And it seems like Trump is just going off the handle and saying whatever the hell he wants. Well, ironically, the Trump going off the rails as the outlaw brand makes sense. He says crass things, and he's uncouth, and he lacks decorum in a lot of ways. And so that aligns with the rebel sort of outlawness that his brand is portraying. And then here
So,
Kamala is what?
so those things are actually on brand instead of like
Correct.
weird, like insanity moments.
Correct. And so what the Democrats are perceiving as like craziness is really him being on brand with just being unfiltered, right?
Mhm.
And then Kamala, what she's saying with these, like, you know, oh, I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel safe. I'm Jenny from the block kind of vibes. Those are to create connection, and to make you feel like this sense of belonging. Oh, she's normal. She's one of us. And then they're like, oh, that's kind of weird, right? And so the word was like, oh, these people are being weird. The reason for that is it's like we're the normal guys, they're the weird guys. And now you see the sort of brand warfare that's happening, with those two different brand archetypes. Is that, if Trump is the outlaw ruler brand, and the Democrats are the innocent everyman brand, then it's a great way to juxtapose them as a David versus Goliath, right? And now you get the no kings movement, right? So, oh, he's trying to be a king, and rule and control everything, and we're the good guys, and we're the David to his Goliath, and we can beat him, we can take him out. And now what you do is you get the coalition of, the everyman, we're the average working Joe, and we're gonna stop the big evil king tyrant person, right?
Love it.
So that's the entire, like, political landscape over the last, 6 to 8 years, right?
Totally.
Is them looking at these two different brands, and then really, entrenching themselves so that they can fight, and get their constituents. The
Mhm.
challenge or the problem with this type of brand warfare, excuse me, in politics, is what it did was it split demographics along gendered lines. And so now what you have is the Democrats are going after, a female target audience, and the Republicans are going after a male target audience. And politically speaking, you're supposed to basically disagree and be oppositional at war with the
Yeah,
opposite political party, which has the secondary consequence of making men and women more contentious with each other.
yikes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Which further accelerates the the divide between male and female, right? Um, in terms of social connection, which decreases the likelihood of coupling, right? Which also decreases the birth rate, which contributes to the acceleration of population decline.
So there's a lot of like ripple effects and maybe like collateral consequences.
Right. And I'm not saying like, oh, because somebody was really good at branding, we fucked up the world. But, it's a confluence of factors. But this is one thing that you can see, right? You can see
Yeah,
how, the two political parties are having like faction warfare and how their hardcore constituents are, oppositional, and you can see what their target markets are, and you can see how that adds essentially like fuel to the fire, that is accelerating the decline.
totally.
So what are you to do when you are observing these personas at play? And my thing has always been to not just see the persona, right? Don't just judge a book by its cover. You got to actually read a couple of pages, you know?
Right?
Maybe you don't pick up the book, but you know me, I'm going to pick up the book, right? And I especially look for books I disagree with. If I hate
Yeah.
the cover, I'm going to read it. Like if I hate what they're saying, I better read it so that I understand what it is that I'm hating. And am I hating something that's stupid, or am I hating something that like I actually should hate?
Right? And you want to learn both
And
sides of most arguments and
yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole point, right? If you're going to be in a debate, right, and think about like debate club, right? If you're going to be in
yeah.
debate club, if you don't know the opposition's argument, you're not going to be very effective at rebuttals, right?
Well,
If you are in debate club and you don't know which side you're going to argue for until the competition, you better know both sides really well, right?
yeah.
So that's been my philosophy, since college, is like, oh, I don't like this thing. Let me go and learn about it.
Which
But
is
most
brilliant.
people are like, I don't like this thing. I don't want any part of it. I don't want to learn. I don't want to hear it. I'm over
I
it.
want it to go
You're
away.
done. You're wicked. I've made up my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we have a strong emotional response to something, I think the natural tendency is to avoid it. But for me, the tendency is to attack it, but
Mhm.
not just attack it with like kill it till it's dead, but understand it. And that's
Yeah.
the understand mindset, right? He says, when I truly understand my enemy, I love them and I know exactly how to kill them. That's
Yo.
it's like not the goal, right? But like it's essentially tactical empathy, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. How do you know what you're perceiving is real or virtual reality, right? Empirical versus virtual reality. How do you know? Because what? There's your perspective, and then there's reality. And where they overlap, that's wisdom. And then you've got your perspective and my perspective, and where they overlap, that's culture. And when
Hmm.
your perspective and my perspective overlap with empirical reality, that's cultural wisdom, right?
Ah, beautiful.
But everything that's not in the wisdom zone, y'all motherfuckers, there's the Lululemons. So, how do you get out of delusion land? I was reading about like value propositions, and I love the business model canvas. I mean, there are a couple of frameworks that I've just like been really into. I like Michael Porter's value chain, and I like the business model canvas and value proposition canvas. And I never actually like really read through the books that they have. They're really well, like they're really beautiful, like designs. They almost feel like coffee table books that
I love it.
they're real graphic. You can, they're colorful, and I like the design of the book as much as the content inside of them. But they're geared toward, and they came from, I mean, shit, they're old now, but like I say old, like they're 10 years old, but they came from this idea of design thinking, right? How do we make really brilliant designs? How do we make a business and design a business? How do we construct this thing so that we know if there's a market for what we want? And a lot of this stuff really evolved into PMF, product market fit, so that we can say, okay, does our product match, what the market is asking for? Which is, the age-old question, right? For
Hmm.
business. And, I really became enamored with their experiment section, where it has basically 4 steps. Because I'm always talking about, like, hey, go make sure it matches with empirical reality. It's my literal job to produce evidence for every claim that I make. So,
Yeah,
uh, so I'm like, okay, great. Let me do more hypothesis testing. And so what is that? So step one is you create your hypothesis, right? We believe that blank. Step two is your test. And so to verify that, we're going to blank. And then step three is come up with your metrics, and we're going to measure blankety blanks. And then the fourth is the criteria or the conclusion. If we're right, then this will happen, right? So now we have our success criteria. So what we know, what are we testing? How are we going to test it? What are we going to measure? And how do we know if we're right? How do
yeah.
we know if it's correct? And if everybody 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 can ask those 4 questions, right? I love simplicity in frameworks, right? Because then you can use them quickly. You can like put the little monocle lens on, you can and then look at the problem. And the more different lenses you can test, oh, okay, this one sort of fits, the thing that we're looking for. The more lenses you can apply to what you're seeing, the more tightly you can come up with something that fits reality. This is
Yeah.
also how you do really good far transfer. So if you want to understand how something in one field works in another field, then you try on different lenses, and you might say, oh, well, this model works with most of this thing, and then it doesn't quite fit the rest of it. Well, oh, actually, I have a model for that. And now I can combine these 2 models together and, make a certain Megazord kind of quality to understand how this thing works. And now it sort of makes sense.
Hmm.
So if you can just run that test against reality, you now have a sanity check with 4 questions that you have to ask to basically be able to tell if what you're looking at is bullshit. And I think that's something that people really need on the internet. They really need in digital space because, like I say, when you have scarcity, you must optimize. And when you have abundance, you must prioritize. And we've never had so much abundance as a society. Even the poorest people in America are living in abundance compared to like the richest people 1,000 years ago.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Somebody will pick your dead ass up off the street, or your sick ass off the street and take you to a hospital.
Right? And you can like walk into an emergency room uninsured with no money and they will still treat you. They have to,
right? They won't just like let you die like silently or not in the corner.
right? Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the mechanism for knowing if it's real, but like that's the thing. Most people go off of consensus or they go off of feelings, experience, my lived experience, because they
Mhm.
haven't tested a hypothesis because they don't know how. Well, here's how. The same way you can do an after action review, what was supposed to happen, what actually happened, why was there a gap? What did we learn? Boom, four questions, and now you can go and review your event and make it better the next time, right?
Yeah.
Experiment, same shit, right? What do I believe? How am I going to verify it? What am I going to measure? And how do I know if it works? How do I know if I'm right? Four
Yeah.
questions. And you can do that shit for anything.
Yo,
Yo.
it's really good.
So I wanted to test something myself. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel not like, oh God, I hate imposter syndrome. I hate this term. And people are like, well, I have imposter syndrome. And I'm like, I what I do worry about though is hypocrisy. I don't like hypocrisy. If I'm like gonna do something and someone's like, well, you're just like that, I hate that. I
Yeah.
hate that about myself. And so I will go and change that because I don't want to be a hypocrite. If I'm espousing something, good for me and not for thee, I don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
So what I was looking at is okay. Um, I really like the idea of D&D. I've wanted to be a dungeon master. Um, the kids are really into it, and so I've started sort of like D&D campaigning our household already.
Yeah. It's great.
It's also really effective as a teaching tool, I
Yeah.
found, because what is it? It's an RPG, role-playing game. Well, when you want to teach somebody something, well, what do? You have them role play. If you want a pilot to fly a plane, they role play the flight simulator. You know, if
Mhm.
you have a chef, you have them practice. What is practice? It's basically just role playing on repeat with incremental components of the sport or the activity, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit, what if I made a D&D style campaign for Household Mojo? And I'm gonna say Aaron, I'm only gonna give a little bit away, but like
Okay.
this is something I wanted to make for a long time. I think I may have told the World of Warcraft story before, which is why I stopped playing World of Warcraft, because I like was just like, wow, this is a major time sink, and I could be learning an actual skill instead of learning a digital skill that won't necessarily translate to anything else.
Yeah.
And so I started constructing my life in many ways like a video game. And the two games that I like to play the most are strategy games and RPGs. And RPGs are just like level up. What do I always play? Diablo 3. Grind,
Yep.
grind, 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 and level up.
Yep.
Boom. So the other game is a strategy game, and we'll talk about that later. Um, which is, I played again. I love those early Blizzard games. I love Age of Empires and then Warcraft and StarCraft, which basically you build a city and then when civilization I stopped playing games for a really long time. And then as like my grad school gift to myself, I got Civilization and I got like an Xbox. And it was so great because like I was playing games that were 10 years old, but I hadn't played games in like 15 years, 20 years. So it was like they were new to me and they were all like dirt cheap. And I was like, ooh, let me get all these dirt cheap games and then just
And
catch
you
myself
loved
up,
it.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up playing like Civilization 5 and also the soundtrack that,
Oh,
oh my
you
God. What's his name?
So good.
Christopher Ten, Sogno de Volare. Oh my God, it's like such a beautiful song. And like if you look at the
Fantastic.
translation, um, oh God, I'll have to add that somewhere because it's like the most. It's I got goosebumps right now just thinking of the song.
Me too.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Dee-dum, da-dum, dee-da-da, dee-da, 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 dee, dee-da, dee-doo-dee-da-ba-dee-dee-dee-da-ba-dee. Right? Oh, oh.
So good.
Um, it's so triumphant, it's so
Yes.
inspirational, and I'm like, God,
Yes.
what the fuck is that? Why
Yes.
aren't we getting more of that on the screens?
Yes.
Right? Like I want that inspirational shit to give me something like to aspire to. You know, I was watching this video with this teacher and she's like, you know, all of my kids, like their answers have changed over the years. And now it was
Oh,
like, I want to
yeah.
be an astronaut. I want to be the president. And now it's like, I want money. I want to
You
win the
showed
lottery.
me that video. Yeah.
God, ugh, fuck is wrong with people? So to answer that question, they're not inspired. They don't have a sense of purpose, right? And that was perma, right? Or mere your
Meow.
meaning creates your engagement, creates your achievement, creates your relationships and your positive emotions, right? So that progression starts with meaning. And so role play games, strategy games allow you to conceptualize, you know, oh, okay, this is how these things operate in the ecosystem, right? And that's the big picture strategy. And then you zoom in to the role playing game, and that's your individual actions to achieve your grand strategy and execution, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, let me make a game that allows somebody to, you know, level up through this. This is not an original idea. Like, not, it's not. But I also find myself frustrated. A lot of these like coding programs or coding apps, and I've tried a bunch of them, and they're like, well, we gamify coding. And I was like, this does not feel like a game. Because in a game, you can just like grind the same shit over and over and over again, but they have like limited data sets. Like, I'm specifically talking about some SQL programs that I've attempted. And it's like, I can't just practice the same operator over and over again. Like I could in, say, a Khan Academy with math,
Mhm.
right? And they'll
Mhm.
just give me an infinite amount of math problems until I have mastered this math, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
coding, you know, they're not so good at this thing. And there are other skills that I'm like, I would really love to learn this skill and have something that sort of keeps me in a flow channel that is enjoyable, but also challenging, but not boring, right? So what I was like, let's make this thing for something that I know, um, which is, you know, the application of business to everything. And then something that I don't know so well, but what I want to do and explore, which is, you know, DMing, game dungeon mastering. And so the next 6 weeks, I basically put together a little D&D campaign. I spent probably like 8 hours and some change over the weekend, um, you know, coming up with just the structure and the first version, the first week of this.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm really excited. It's I'm really
and
excited
I say I put in like 8 hours over the weekend, but like that was just like focused time. I've been kind of nonstop geeking
about it.
and about it for at least the last like week and a half,
And I'm super into
taking
it.
notes and stuff.
I
That's
really
what I
like
do on the toilet while other people are scrolling. I'm like taking notes on audiobooks.
Mhm. I love it.
And so I've been reading books on like how to be a DM. Um,
Right?
yeah,
I really
yeah.
love how the whole idea has evolved as you've been working on it. And I'm excited to have you put it out in the world and try it, and then we can refine it as we go. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And I was thinking that that might just be if it's, you know, if people like it, you know, if they have good comments, good feedback, I think that would be really cool is to spend, every 6 weeks we run a little campaign that you can do in your house. You can do solo or multiplayer. And so this is also another thing. Um, I have two dads in my network. Also, congratulations to my little brother who's now a new dad.
Ah!
Yeah. And so there's like there's another friend, and he and another friend were both like, well, I want to do some of these things, in my marriage and my partnership. um or even if somebody's not in a relationship, and let's say you're co-parenting with an ex or something like that, um or with a step, kid or something like that, then you might have to do this thing solo. And so I wanted this game to be designed so you can do it solo or as a team. And even if you go solo and you can include your partner, ideally you should. It would be great if you could. But if you can only do it solo, well, who can you can control? You can control yourself. And you can show up better to those interactions with your partner, with your ex, with whoever, with your kid, with your step kid, like with whoever, having worked on these things. And now hopefully you'll be able to see the world with, more lenses so you can make better decisions and identify, oh, this is why I've been having such a hard time with this. We're now troubleshooting curses and possessions, so I call a curse anything that is like a cognitive distortion, bias, or logical fallacy. And a possession is like when you have an internalized belief or behavior that is causing you to have sort of destructive interpretations of things or
Mhm.
maladaptive interpretations that aren't aligned with reality.
Yeah.
Aaron, I've been talking this whole time. You got to jump in, man.
Well, funny. I love having conversations with you, but I also like, I'm such a, just my nature, I'm such a like patient and attentive audience member. And I get so enthusiastic and I'm just like, I get so wrapped up in it and I forget sometimes. I don't actually forget, but you know how you just like, you're enjoying what I'm so enjoying what you have to say. And I'm like, oh, that's right. We're recording and I'm involved. I'm not just listening to my husband talk to me like in the kitchen, like because I get wrapped up in it. I love the sound of your voice.
Well, I appreciate that. But I also think that our lovely audience is probably like, God, is he gonna shut up now? Like, can we hear the nice lady? Can we hear the nice lady talk?
Oh my God,
Um,
that's so funny. But I'm really excited about this D&D campaign idea and um like you said, the fact that you can do it by yourself, you can do it with a partner. And it's just a way to okay, let me back up. We've been together a while now, and over the course of our long-term relationship, you have introduced so many elements of structure and so many different tools that I didn't even know existed before, that have really like shaped our household and shaped our marriage and shaped how we parent and streamlined a lot of processes for us. And my frustration when people are like, oh, I are resistant to it, even though I understand it, they're like, oh, that sounds hard, that sounds boring, that sounds I don't want to do work when I'm at home, all these things. I'm like, oh, I get it. But also, I'm like, no, but it's so great. It's so great. It's going to make things so much better. And it's so good. And you should do it. And you'll love it at the end. And that's a hard sell. I have come to learn the hard way. The like do the hard thing for a really, really long time until you get the like optimized result. That's a hard sell. People want a quick fix. But finding this way to incorporate all the things that we love, because we love like events and we love game night and we love hospitality and we love like quests and teamwork and this whole thing. And as soon as you were like, oh, I can give people these things in this really fun way that incorporates all these other things that we love, and I got so excited. So I think this is going to be really great for everybody.
And I appreciate that because Um, again, I'm nervous. I want it to be good, you know? And so, going back to brands, we were talking about this with the team, the Mojo team, and one of the things that I like is one of our brand identity elements is leather.
Mhm.
Um, and so the term leather is what we use to describe like how we want our products to be. We don't just want you to have a product that, is obsolete that you throw away. What I
Mhm.
want is a product that may feel a little uncomfortable at first, like a new pair of shoes, but as you walk in them, they conform to you and they fit you better, right?
Mhm.
To the point where now, even when they're just like completely destroyed, you still don't want to get rid of them,
Yeah.
right? That's what I want for our products. I want our products to be leather. And so I'm nervous about people who say, "Oh, well, I put my foot in it and it wasn't already like the most cushiony New Balance. And so I'm not interested because it's not initially comfortable." But I'm like, "Well, your New Balance, well, actually, New Balance is great. I fucking love those shoes, actually. Those I've got wide feet and they were like my running shoes for the longest time.
But
But like, if you have a pair of Nikes, they'll like feel comfortable. You feel like you're running a cloud, but then they fall apart, you know? And then you got to replace them and get the new pair. And I'm like, I want you to have our shit for a long time.
yeah.
And, that's how we've basically priced our stuff is like, hey, buy it once, and then I'm going to continue to improve on it. So you buy the product one time and then it gets better the longer you have it, but you
The
only paid
more
for it,
you use it.
right?
Yeah.
And so people are like, wait a minute, aren't you leaving money on the table? Yeah. But
But we're
like,
also very invested in quality, and we are not just trying to get a dollar from you. We're actually wanting to serve you.
and this is it, is that what I was ultimately talking, and this is how the conversation with my mom ended on that political note, is I said, look, mom, like most people, and I told her the vitamins and cures and painkillers. I said most people want painkillers because, they did some shit in the past that hurts and they want it to stop hurting. And then they only seek out the cure once they're dying, like once it's like so terrible that like it has to go away because it's having an impact on everything in your life.
Mhm.
And they never do the vitamin. And this is the downside of democracy, and people miscategorize capitalism. Oh, it's capitalism. It's not capitalism. Capitalism is just private property. What you're actually having problems with is the free market, because if somebody can do a thing better than you, then they get the paycheck that you don't get. But also, it's what the market demands. And so if you're mad that, oh, all these bad products, these shit products exist, stop buying them.
Yeah.
Right? The fastest way to get the market to change is to stop buying the thing. Because what the company signals will say is, oh, these group of people are now moving into this direction. Let's go and follow the herd, right? And then
Yeah.
see what the herd is doing, and then we'll create products to sell to the herd at the lowest price to beat out all of our competition, right? So you need competition in the market, but like everyone wants to say, oh, it's these big evil people at these, massive corporations that are making all the problems. It's the big governments that are making all the problems. It's like, nah, fool. It's your inability to rule yourself, too. It's not just corporate greed, it's individual greed. And individual greed, and I'm going to define greed for you. Greed is good for me now. It's short-sighted and it's self-centered. And that's most people's default. Yes, you too, dear reader. And so we have to work. Me too. We have to work to extend our our time horizon into the future. We have to work to extend our efforts to serve other people. Right?
Hmm.
You want to be good at business? Sell, like, be of service, be useful, be
Right?
valuable.
Yeah.
Right? And don't just give people what they want, give people what they need. But people will buy what they need. That's right. That's why I want to create a better method for getting people to eat vitamins.
Hmm.
I want to make a cultural shift away from painkillers towards vitamins. And if that's, by the way, everybody's like, oh, America, what is America? America's apple pie. America's this. America's immigrants. Like, no, you want to know what I want America to be? I want
Hmm.
America to be the place where we take vitamins.
Hey, there's my
We
project
take vitamins and we
statement.
give vitamins.
I love it.
Right? It's not just gym bros and yoga hos. It's I want that to be something that is synonymous with American culture, is that we look to the future and we help each other. We help
Love
our
it.
future selves.
Love it.
Whoa! What a crazy, crazy idea, you know?
Right?
Is that,
So if you want to help yourself and help each other, come play D&D for your life with us on Substack.
right? Life RPG.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey,
And hopefully it'll be a fun experience. And I want lots and lots of feedback. And by the way, I'm experimenting on you, audience. Like, like
so
I'm,
tell us how it goes for you. We want to hear from you.
right. And so every 6 weeks, if the first, campaign goes all right, then okay, we'll revamp it for the next one. And maybe every 6 weeks we run a new campaign. We figure out what's our big bad that we're gonna tackle. And it's something that produces a result for you. And that's the actual thing, is that every single week now, you should have some sort of tangible result that improves your partnership or your processes for this entire 6 weeks. So it's like, oh, we're doing a challenge for the month. And it's not just a challenge, it's a fucking campaign. And then at the end of every week, you should have leveled yourself up. And at the end of the 6 week period, you're like all the way up,
Yep.
right?
Woo.
And then now every 6 weeks, if we can level you up every 6 weeks, fuck around and find out.
Right? It's going to be great. I'm so
Yeah, and
excited.
so the more people play, the more feedback we get, the more feedback we get, the better we can make it. The better we can make it, the more everybody gets to level up together. And I fucking love that team shit.
Yay.
Team
So good.
party.
Woo.
Woo.
Big niece.
Big niece.